Greetings folks, I've run into a bit of a challenge when trying to assemble a VEX robot using VEX parts in Fusion 360. So I have saved a file here, a new file called cchannel with multiple joints, just a random name, so you can see what I'm doing. And I've brought in a 1 by 2 by 1 by 35 aluminum cchannel. This is a standard VEX part that you get. I've also brought in one of their number 8, I believe this is the 1/2-inch screw. So pretty standard move if you were to be modeling a VEX robot or lots of different things, is to be able to put this screw through a hole somewhere and put a nut on the back. I'm just going to show you how to put this through. So if I was to say join this and I'd want to put it through one of these faces, you can see it doesn't give me a center of the hole anywhere. Now that's fine. Okay, in order to do a center spot, I do what's called a joint origin, but to do that you also need to break the link to the previous component. So breaking the link of the component that I'm going to be modifying. So that's now broken, and in order to assemble it, I need to create a joint origin, a place to be able to join it. Okay, and I'm going to put it actually between two faces, between this face here, orbit around, and that face there, and I want to put it at the center like that, but I also need to reorient it to that face there. So now you can see it's a flat face. Okay, that's great. Boom, done. And then of course now I'd be able to join the center of that cylinder there to the center of that one there. Okay, and it's coming backwards, so I would flip it, and now I have a screw in the right position. And I can put a nut on it, etc., or more metal, whatever it needs to go there. Okay, so that's fine and dandy. I can do that. Whoops, I don't want to okay that. I'll keep my screw. The problem, of course, is okay, if I want to do, I don't know, 2 screws next to each other or 4 screws to hold a piece of metal in here that couples up. Well, I guess I got to go do another joint origin, because sadly there's no way to take the joint origin, copy and paste it, move it, whatever. There's nothing. There's no patterning. You cannot operate, or you cannot multiply a joint origin, which is quite frustrating with, say, you need to put 4 here, 4 here, 4 here, and 4 here to piece together your model. That's quite challenging. So a workaround. What you do is create a version to start with, so that you can bring in this version of your cchannel for all of your pieces, and then you can modify them from there. What you do is create a sketch on a face that you're going to need to attach to. Okay, and nicely, points work just like joint origins. Okay, so I'm going to create a point. Let's say I'm going to create it. I'll create it over here. Actually, I'll put it in the bottom right so then we can see it. Okay, so I'm going to find the midpoint here. Okay, triangle means midpoint, and the midpoint there. And I'm just going to come on out until we get our crisscross, and now I know that's dead centered point. Great. Finish it. Okay, come on back on out so you can see. And I will get J for join, and I'll take that face there again, getting the right spot, and you can see the point now gives me a perfect place to join to. And I can flip it, and we've got the same thing as we did before. Hooray! But the beauty of a point versus a joint origin is I can pattern points. You again have to do that in the sketch, because a point is not a 3-dimensional object, it's a 2-dimensional thing with just an X, Y coordinate. And now I want to go to create rectangular pattern. Okay, and I'm going to select my point. Got to kind of highlight it because it's difficult to click, and I'm going to drag it out, and you can see the value that's changing, so that is that direction. And I'm just going to keep it as a single row right now. Okay, and I'm going to drag out my 3. Now the distance itself here, I've got it in millimeters. VEX parts are all in inches. So the 3 copies, so the 1 represents the original, so this next one would be 2 and the next one would be 3. Each gap is 1/2 inch and 1/2 inch, so my total distance is going to be 1 inch, 25.4 millimeters, or just 1 inch. Okay, and it's going the wrong way, so I actually need to make that a negative. There we go, and we've got them perfectly centered all the way along. Okay, if I wanted to do the whole length, I would just count the number of holes instead, and and change that pattern to being the whole length of this, which is 17.5 inches long because it's 35 holes long. That's the 1x2 by 1x35 part. So 17.5 inches is what I could have done instead and had 35 holes to give myself the entire row. And then I have all of those set up. So if you do a bit of setup ahead of time, you can actually have an entirely set up piece of aluminum C channel that then you can bring into new assemblies to create your VEX robot. All right, folks, there's your workaround for joint origin challenges. All right, good luck making robots.